All right, the big conversation is the Grammys. Everyone's talking about it, not just here, across the world. Now, Tems made big history. She's the first Nigerian star to have 2 Grammys under her belt, and she's done it with her unique sound. Her first, in fact, for, of course, the best melodic rap with Drake and Future some years ago, and now she's making us super proud. Now, we're not just the only people here. Of course, we do want to give a shout out to Afua, our international correspondent, who I know is also going to be a part of this huge conversation. Afua, if you can hear me, how are you doing? We can't hear you.
Oh, I can hear you guys.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, Afua. How are you feeling?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Real quick, excited about all the feedback from the Grammys. What are you thinking? Real quick.
Yes, love this for Beyonce. Although I'll controversially say I'm not sure if this should have been the album that got it, but we'll dig into that. But love it that she's finally got that recognition.
All right, a lot of people are talking about Beyonce, but let's talk about Tems. I mean, she's Nigerian, she's African. In fact, the rollouts of celebration messages all across the internet shows you that she does have power. But I feel like in this category, which is the second time that this is ever happening, of course, the category for best African music performance. Now let's go and look at this comparison. Does she really deserve this win, right? Hold on. Now, those who are up for the nomination for the same category, MMS, Asake, Wizkid, Sensational, Chris Brown, Davido, Lojay, I love that song. Yemi Alade's Tomorrow, which is big for Yemi, And now here we have Tems on this one. You think she deserves this? Let me start with you.
Yes, I feel like she deserves it. And I believe, pointing to like the facts, Love Me Jeje was a record that got pushed, globally.
True.
And also she has had that global impact. And you have to understand that as much as it sounds like the Grammys, but at the same time, you have to understand that it's an American, institution award ceremony. Exactly. So she has been able to cross over, and she has done that successfully well. And look at all the other people in the category. You have Asake, who's also, on that part too. Yemi Alade was one surprising one, but she totally deserves that. She's, made a niche for herself. But I really, really believe that Tems deservedly so.
Let me ask Casey real quick, because I know, of course, you're an OAP and also head of music on a radio station. So, you deal with music on a daily.
Yeah.
Now, out of these songs, let's not lie, what did the typical Nigerian audience listen to? Would you say Love Me Jeje, if we're talking about Nigerian markets and listenability on the radio, that would have won as well in this category?
Obviously, we're not going to call Love Me Jeje in the conversation when it comes to how much Nigerians consume music within the calendar year of 2024. But I always come back to something at the end of the day, right? Just like you said, it's an American award at the end of because we give the Grammys that recognition, rightly so, as being the creme de la creme of any award you could get as an artist. But still, at the same time, we also have to understand that these guys, or the Grammy awards, would prioritize who they think has that level of cultural impact and relevance mixed together. Because some people will argue that, okay, when it comes to cultural impact or how impactful it was, even in your country, you would call 2 other songs before you call it Love Me Jeje. Quite all right. But if we were to go by what the Grammys, or what we think the Grammys should have picked, the list is long, my brother. So I don't think we're gonna, be done with that conversation today. But personally, for me, this is the first time I can say that I can see a unified front with every Nigerian music listener when it comes to somebody winning an award. Because I promise you this: if MMS got an award, we'll be saying, oh, did this person get this award because this person was on the record? Did this person get this award because that person was on the record? So I feel, personally for me, I think it's a good one for Tems, and I love the fact that this was a solo performance from her as well.
I think that's powerful. When it's one thing to win for a collaboration, it's one thing when it's your project, which makes a lot of sense. But I wish we had OC here. Hopefully, he gets to join us in some parts of the show. Because he's actually a part of the recording, members. He has a vote, which is incredible. So we're going to find out, because I want to know why do you pick this particular person to win over what? But let's think about what Nigerians are talking about. Nigerians are bound to do the comparison thing, whether it's Davido, Wizkid, and now they have a reason to even more, because Davido is the only star among the big 3, as we're all familiar with the big 3. He's the only one who doesn't have a Grammy win. I got to start with Edewo. Edewo, does this give him less bragging rights in the music industry and entertainment?
Like you said earlier, that because of what the streets are saying, what people are talking about, and back here in Nigeria, the Grammys has been one of the major yardstick they use to measure the success of artists. Unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, because like he said, it's an American awards. We should be focused on our own Nigerian awards as well. But we've put our artists on that race. If you have not gotten a Grammy, then it looks as if you are a local champion. Let's just look at it that way. Because if you see it, they say, oh, Wizkid has a Grammy, Tems has a Grammy, you know, and Burna Boy has a Grammy. So why does Davido not have a Grammy? And he's actually, there was he did a collaboration with Angelique Kidjo. At least he would have gotten a Grammy. But he didn't get a Grammy. So
Where are you going to with this?
I'm just saying.
Does this mean that Tems should be part of the big three? Maybe we should kick someone off, or maybe it should be big four.
I mean, if you're going to have like 2 Grammy Awards,
you should be number one now.
There's no reason why you can't be in the conversation.
Yes.
Except I was trying to say that criteria for being one of the big 3 is gender-based.
Wow.
You know, sorry, I'm not playing the gender card. I'm just like, what conversation can we have as for Tems not being in the big 3 or a big 4, maybe?
You feel like you're one?
Nah, yeah. I mean, in terms of big 4, yesterday when I was looking at 8 times Grammy nominated. You know, 2 times she's won, even bigger than Burna. You know, she's pretty much the most,
nominated for sure.
most nominated, but
most in Nigeria.
To win, to win. And also, if you look at like, David's accomplishments in terms of impact in music is far beyond just should not all be just valued
based on an award.
You know, you can see his impact there with that nomination, Lojay and him bringing, you know, Lojay on that song, making an Afrobeat record for an American music act to get nominated.
There
in
was
that
some controversy about, you know, Sensational being even included there. You know,
No, but did you see the numbers he did on American music? It's an American music, you know, award ceremony, and so that just shows the level of, you know, thinking.
It almost seems like
thinking that Davido has always had. He's one of the first. Sorry, I'm just.
you know what?
Definitely. You know what I want to say, because when you talk about that he said, he packed his bags, went across, like, you know, out of Nigeria from his set, went to South Africa, started doing records. Oh, in terms of foreign
performances
domination and all of that. So when
there are a few Davido days in America.
Tried in America, did that. I mean. So he's deserved at least being nominated. However, we know why he might not just be.
Why?
Because when it comes to, how do I say, we know that now we can see that based on Burna and Tems winning, you can say, oh, it could be based on, some people might say this, but
voice, Abi.
some people might say that.
Oh, wow.
However, it doesn't reduce his artistry. Davido, as you call it, I always call him, he's like a pop star. It's the first true African pop star.
I would say I agree. Do you know why I consider this, and I would agree with you? It's the good spirit, you know, the team spirit. He went out to collaborate and they'll talk about, he tweeted about, you know, congratulating everyone, which I think is good spirit. You know, that shows that, you know what, no competition. I appreciate your work. But speaking about Tems and all these wins, because for those who don't know, Tems has a total of 42 wins in her how many years career, shorter than most of these people we're talking about.
Golden Globe. She has Oscar nomination.
And this is out of 119 nominations. I mean, we could do an entire list of all the attempts of being able to accomplish in barely 5 years. You know, just one album, debut album, Born in the Wild, that we're talking about. And we're talking about stars who've done. Let's not make it look like it's about numbers.
Let's not do that.
It's not. But I mean, shout out to Tems, because if we had to do a rollout, of course, that's one of the awards that she's won. Like you talked about, the Golden Globes, writing for Rihanna, you know, which is absolutely incredible. Should we do down a list? Should we go down a list of all that? We don't need to.
We can if you want to prove if you want to prove a point. Because right now we're celebrating this individual who has gone out there to make Nigeria proud. You know, and back home, a lot of conversations where I even had a point where some people said, okay, this Grammy that was given to Tems, looking at African performance, I think someone said here about how much of influence your music has in Africa, cultural impact. And Asake has a lot of that. If you look at Asake's music, cultural impact, African performance. If you see his tours, he went on the Lungu Boy tour, and the cities he went to, he shut down a lot of, you know, twice O2 Arena, and you're like, okay, this is somebody who is doing so much, and you can tell from in a short time, because Asake is one of those artists that just came out, you know, he blew into prominence like 2 years, and he's that big. So I think if Tems wasn't giving this award, I would have said Asake would be the best person to really, take this home and really stand for that. That's how I see that,
To be honest, right, when it comes to stuff like this, right, I feel like especially at the Grammys, I feel one of the big things or one of the major features that you need to have is something called positioning. You need to be in certain conversations, which I'm sorry to say, right? As much as he's a revered talent, we love the talent, we think he's one of the best in not just in the industry, in the continent. I just feel like Asake might not be in some conversations the way Tems might be in some conversations. And this still comes down to positioning, intentionality. And I feel like there's a whole lot that goes into music. And when you talk of the Grammys being like I said before, the creme de la creme stage, there's a whole lot. A lot of people are not surprised Tems won this, to be honest with you, right? And therein lies the answer. The fact that we're not surprised that Tems won it, because I promise you, right, if you saw Asake win an MMS for that performance, a lot of people would have been like, wow. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, but like, wow, I didn't see this coming.
So Tems is a deserving winner. We got to give a shout out, of course, to the original writer of this song,
Yes,
which is like a classic. So it has so much even cultural representation for us as Nigerians.
Exactly. So I wanted to just hammer on that because that's such a nostalgic song. Because I remember yesterday, I still tweeted, you remember, for millennials here, like, you remember like those rechargeable lamps, how you listen, tune and then listen to, this particular song.
Yeah.
It just talked about the journey that Afrobeats has come to. Because this is not even an Afrobeat song, this is like, at the same time, maybe an Afro R&B song.
Yeah,
which is a good conversation.
Yeah.
In the sense that sometimes in this categories, Afrobeats, where Tems is nominated, would you call her music Afrobeats? Shouldn't she genuinely be up for R&B?
No, this is okay. Go on.
Let's circle back. Don't forget the category was for Best African Performance. So some people, Tyra winning. I think it was at the BETs or the MTV Awards, coming out to say she's not an Afrobeat artist.
That is right.
She's an African artist. She's not an Afrobeat artist. So therein lies the tag, right? So maybe that is another conversation for another day. It's African music entirely Afrobeat, or it's just Nigerian music entirely Afrobeat. So it's like I said.
Well, the truth is, of course, it's not just here in Nigeria that we're all celebrating Tems all around the world. I want to quickly ask Afua, of course, international correspondent in England, in London. How are people feeling about this Tems win? I know that, like we've come to agree, London has become like our second home. Nigerians are there every other time, performing, closing out stadiums, arenas. Afua, I want to ask you, how are people feeling, about Tems' win? Would you say it's the same thing that we all are feeling, complete adoration and appreciation? Talk to me.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely well-deserved. A lot of people feel that it's so well-deserved that she picked up this Grammy for Love Me JJ. Like you said, she's done so much in such a short period of time, and she's really put that impact, not just at home in Nigeria, but on the international stage. And really with the Grammys, it is a very American audience. It's a very sort of international voting category. I know some people that vote on the Grammys committee themselves, and it's very international, it's very outward looking, and I think that's why Tems has been able to really cross that divide, and she's had good collaborations with artists like Drake and etc. in the past, and I think that's why, like one of your guests said, her name is in certain conversations, and why she's had that impact. I think when it comes to talking about the big three, and we know what the big three are when you mention them, and I have to say, as a woman who is in journalism and has worked in Afrobeats and everything else myself, I think there's a conversation for opening up to that big three. Perhaps Tems deserves a place in that big three because of the impact she's had on Afrobeats, on the industry, at home and abroad.
Well, nicely said. I want to see a lot more Nigerians, of course, agree with you. We're going to take some congratulatory messages that have come forward in a bit. But first, let's look at what people are saying on the streets if they appreciate Tems' music, whether you call it Afrobeats or not. Let's watch this.
Okay, so I'm just going to say I'm very proud of Tems. You know, she's bringing home not just 1 but 2 Grammys. That is big. That is big. And at this point, I'm very happy to be Nigerian. To be honest, very, very happy to be Nigerian. For the entertainment industry as a whole, this is a plus for us.
I think Nigerian music is actually going global, and it's a nice one.
Although it's pain me, but everywhere good, sha.
It was well deserved, as long as it was not Davido. Tems won the Grammys. Wow. Davido, Wizkid, Tems. Wow.
Now, of course, you're still watching East Central, our Grammy special. And right before that break, well, we did, of course, tell you what some people thought about Tems winning and doing this, being the only Nigerian to have won at 2 Grammys at this time. And I'm going to say this, before we came on this break, yeah, you were mentioning something. Okay. And we're still having this conversation about, you know what, Tems should have a place of our own, you know, as opposed to getting into the big 3. Yeah. And you had mentioned something about playing a huge part in her roots. I want you to explain a little bit more on that.
So when I mean roots, right, I mean, for anybody that will hear the word roots, is he saying Tems is not Nigerian? Obviously not, right? But when I mean roots, I mean when it comes to conversations of, okay, how much are you going to be validated, right, in your country? We all know that the likes of Wizkid, the likes of Davido, the likes of, I dare say, Olamide, have this core fan base within Nigeria. Now, I'm not saying the core fan base within your country is the end all be all, obviously not, because you have to have a lot of things work in your favor, right? But I just feel like before she comes into that conversation, we really need to, maybe we need to do better as music listeners, because I mean, I cannot say if we're calling people or if we're calling anybody that's going to be in the big 3 or the big 4, we don't call female artists in the conversation. I mean, Tiwa Savage has gotten the closest to that particular bracket of saying these are the 4, this is the 3 biggest artists in this particular industry. But I just feel like we in Nigeria, Tems might just not be in that bracket. Let me give an example. It was kind of like when I feel personally Yemi Alade got a lot of unfair treatment over the last 10 years, because she is revered in Africa for the kind of songs she makes, for the brand, for the intentionality about making African music. Yeah. But for some reason, it just doesn't translate here. You get to see negative comments. Most of it are from Nigerian Twitter users. It's crazy because, like, I'm starting to ask the question, are these things quite intentional? What is the formula for having things like this? You know, something that probably will never be able to break down, but for some reason, I don't know, I just feel like once Tems has that, it's the end, like for me, it's the end all be all. Like there is no other conversation you can have. She is definitely top 1 or top 2.
Wow.
That's all that's missing for me.
What I like about this conversation is I feel like we all agree. No one seems to say, well, I don't agree.
Okay, so this is it for me. And I would say, okay, I have like sort of a small personal encounter with Tems. I mean, this was back in 2017. You know, this is someone that has come through the alternative, you know, alternative space. And while she was put in that alternative spaces, at the time, it was what was pop was.
Exactly.
That was the Yaya time. That was, you know, at the time. So
it was different.
So she came, you know, I remember this, you know, this girl, she comes in, you know, open mic, something called 90s Baby. She comes in, is like, oh, I just made this beat. She performed Try Me.
Producers herself.
She was Try Me at the time, and she performed. So we played the beat, and she performed over it at an open mic. She was not the main. She was not even she was not performing. You know, but and then a year later she releases, or 2 years later she releases Try Me. But what I'm trying to say is she's a product of that space. So when it comes to roots, she has roots. It's just that it's not popular.
Oh, exactly.
Okay. You know, and it will become popular because she is now intentionally, she has community projects. She has projects where at the end of the year, she has projects that help her connect to fans. And you know, with this set of, how will I say now, because of the way the alternative space is, sort of, it feels like some people can say, oh, there's some elitism in it. You know, it feels more intellectual.
For some certain kind of people.
But actually,
it's not for grassroots.
But actually, when you come about the real hotel came from Yaba. It's just kids that just felt different, kids that were more artistic.
To be different,
you know, and even when we're growing up, I remember back in, you know, listening to the SoundCloud era, you know, it was seeing my age mates make music and me appreciating it. So I feel like it's more about the millennials and Jerseys that have grown up. But and remember, she's not yet 10 years. She's not 10 years. Bona has done 10 years.
Barely.
and then Tems comes in, injury time, Aguero minutes.
So that's why I feel that we shouldn't put her in the category of
absolutely not.
You know what's my point?
And where I'm going to the category, because the amount of people who have come out to congratulate her, knowing that this is a record that she has set, kind of already puts every naysayer, to.
And where I'm going to next is because by the next generation, it's going to be almost
that's definitely going to inspire them. You know,
it's not going to be three many.
I want us to quickly look at some of the people, of course, who have sent messages to appreciate, and congratulate Tems on this new accomplishment. I know, of course, the president of our dear country was one of those people. I mean, this one says, I really hope and pray Davido gets to win a Grammy, because, we all feel the same way. I hate for him to become the Atiku of the Grammys. Nigerians.
What?
Nigerians will do the most.
Nice one.
This one here says, see us everywhere they peaceful this morning.
Exactly.
You go no see.
That was my point. That was my point.
Nobody's favorite win Grammy. And this is everyone's baby. This is what I mean when I said Davido should win a Grammy.
Can I say something, right? I feel like at the end of the day, everything comes to a divide, right? If somebody wins, somebody that is part of that big team, somebody that has that call. I don't know, I just feel like, because this person won, let the other fan base hate on this person.
Right.
Everywhere is peaceful today. And
because we all want Tems. Let's look at some more. This one here says the Grammys are good this year. The mics are on and the awards are making sense. Now that I like. Okay. People are certainly happy about this. Another one here says, I want to hold Billy so tight. Okay, on the international scene. I was sad for Billy. We'll definitely talk about that to the break on the international scene of things, because all that, I'm not going to talk it. Not winning a Grammy yesterday doesn't add or take away anything. Because we all know that awards don't define you. Sometimes you're also making money. Don't tell that to Drake.
Please.
Don't tell that to Drake right now. Drake is a multi-platinum selling artist over the many years.
Sam, for this, with the same thing I said earlier at the beginning, when you asked me about how much we see the Grammys here in Nigeria, this person that's saying it doesn't mean anything to your career, I don't agree to that.
He said Davido is still the biggest Afrobeats artist, and he would still remain until Grammy in due time. You get his Grammy in due time.
So why are you telling us that he doesn't need the Grammy, but you want him to win the
Maybe I
Grammy?
sound like an OBO fan now, but wait for 5.
Please.
The album drops this year. We'll wait and see. Someone here says, Bolu Atife says, love the way Tems gave so much credit to her team on the Grammys stage. Their artist, you can't do it alone, which is true, of course. I appreciate every part of it, including OAPs like yourself, music heads. This one here says, I don't think Sheyi Shodimu and Shafi Bello would have thought that their sample of their song would win a Grammy, which is beautiful. Still a long way to go, but we've come far. From Kenny and D1 running interviews outside True. I mean, when you look at the past and where we've come, I can't believe it. When you think about the LLP Square to Baba, and look at where we are. Of course, now this is where it becomes heavy. Peter Obi says, I am ever elated by the huge success Nigerian youths are making in several fields, which is true, especially entertainment. He says, I'd like therefore to extend my hearty congratulations to our Nigerian Afrobeat star Tems, who just secured her second Grammy Award with her win in the Best African Music Performance category. Now he goes on to say, undoubtedly Nigerians remain home to the endless flow of talent, which is true, and says, I firmly remain committed to building a nation that fosters growth. Of course, we deserve it. Anyone would say this because truly, at this generation, I didn't want to argue if we're more hardworking than the last, but somehow we're in the time and age where we're getting those benefits, and Tems is certainly doing us super proud. I mean, there are a lot of more reactions everywhere, so we're all agreeing that Tems deserves this one, and there's no argument.
I would say, like I said before,
you would say,
I would say, Asake would have been better for this category.
To win?
To win this category. I think Asake would.
You got to give me a reason why you say that.
I said
real
it earlier. Talking about cultural influence, talking about the kind of music,
really?
talking about the talking about the grassroots connection, talking about how he's taking the African or Nigerian culture out there. Asake sings more in Yoruba. And for you to take your language and take it out, and people would connect. Some people don't even know what he's talking about, but they can still connect. So I'm talking about if it's African performance, I would say Asake is an epitome of that. But hey, I'm not on the board to vote for who wins the Grammy, but this is why I would say that.
Well, okay. Well, our president thinks she deserves it and had this to say, okay?
Oh, wow.
Now he says, congratulations to Tems on winning the Grammy Award for Best African Music Performance. Of course, love me, JJ. I'm proud of her accomplishments and those of Nigerian origin who were nominated for the Grammy Awards. Their achievements continue to inspire all Nigerians. Congratulations. Look at her looking fire. I mean, Tems has done this and will continue to do it, I believe. But we got to give a quick shout out, of course, to OC, director, of course, in a huge radio station here in Nigeria. I know, OC, you're with us? OC, good to have you join us right here in East Central Grammy Special. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I'm okay. Thanks for having me.
I mean, real quick, before we go into, some more thoughts about this one, do you agree Tems is Nigeria's baby and she deserves this win compared to the other, of course, competition in that category?
Well, I would first say if you're nominated for a Grammy, that's a big win, for anybody. And for Tems, it was a very, very, let me say, it was a very tightly contested category because everybody that was nominated in that category, should have won. So Tems winning, she deserves it, you understand, with the work that she's put in and how she's been able to take Nigerian music from where it is right now to audiences outside Nigeria. It's let me just say it's a long time coming.
Right.
With everything she's been able to do, every step of her career, she sampled an old song. So it was a way of bridging the gap between, the old generation and the new generation of Nigerians, people that didn't know the song and, found an opportunity to say, oh yeah, this was done by Sheyi Shodimo, and Shafi Bello was also in the video too as well. So it was a very unique opportunity for, us to be able to celebrate, old Nigerian music and also to see how far, the genre has actually, gone to right now. So big shout out going out to Tems.
I mean, also shout out to you as well. Shout out to you as well, OC, because we're all aware that you're a member of the Voting Academy. We definitely want to ask a lot more questions about how this actually works and who gets picked and, on what, what's the word?
The criteria.
What criteria? Fantastic. Thank you so much. You get to win.
I'm a member of the, the Academy, so, there are different rounds of voting, and I get a lot of emails from a lot of artists who are nominated saying, oh, please vote for me. So it's not just having a great song, you also must be ready to, do the lobbying, do the PR, play the politics. And the idea is just, trying as much as you can to get your brand and your music in front of as many Academy members as you can. So at the time they're voting, it's more or less like top of mind, you understand? So if during the course of 2024, for instance, the people who are going to vote for Best African Performance, and they have been seeing, Tems here and Tems there. So it's a no-brainer that they will go into the room and actually just vote for Tems too as well. So,
I like that. You talk a little. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, so it goes beyond the quality of the music. So it's about the politics behind it, the PR behind it, and how you are able to just propel your brand to everybody who's in these categories.
You are definitely talking about strategy there. And I think over the past years, we've seen, of course, Nigerians perform on, of course, American television, which has played a huge part. We're going to go on a quick break right here. When we come back, there is still so much to talk about on the international scene. OC, of course, is still here with us. But we're going to leave you with this. Of course, way back, Sheyi himself, Shodimo, had this to say about, the song. I'm sure that he probably wouldn't have thought that this would be a time where a sample of his song will get all the way to the Grammys. And maybe we'll, of course, get to play Tems' acceptance speech, because that one had a lot of us emotional, and we're super proud. Let's watch this.
Intro exclusive, intro special. We're here in LA, and this weekend is special because it's actually the Grammy Awards weekend. Right now, I'm sitting with Mr. Love Me JJ.
I had to take voice lessons. I learned how to sing, and I just went into the studio. That's when I recorded Love Me JJ. I didn't release it for about 2 years because I tried to market it in New York. I went to a lot of record companies, major labels. But the problem that they told me was hard to market me because I look, quote unquote, American, but I sound African. After I took it to Nigeria, I think Ray Power was just taking off then. The thing took off within before I left Nigeria. Any wedding I go to now, I mean, that's the mainstream song, and it's a blessing. I mean, I couldn't have written that script if I wanted to.
Love me, JJ, love me tender. Love me, JJ, love me tender. Love me, JJ, love me tender.
Dear God, thank you so much. Whoa, my heart is beating so fast. I'm so sorry. I do work out, but it's not coming. It's not showing up right now. Wow. Dear God, thank you so much for putting me on this stage and bringing me this team. And tomorrow is my mom's birthday, and this is her first Grammys. And I just want to thank you, Mom, because she's really done a lot for me and my brother. And oh my goodness. Happy birthday, Mom. And I want to thank my team, Muiwa Wale, my beautiful stylist, Dunsin Wright, my lovely girls, Yvonne and Rochelle and Kayla and Ashanti and Sarah. I love you guys. Thank you so much. To God be the glory, because honestly, He's changed my life so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, God.
Forward with music, are we looking at the numbers you're raking or the cultural impact? Are we looking at, is everyone streaming this because it's popular, or is it adding value, or talking about roots, for instance? Talk to me.
Well, I think it's a sum total of everything. I heard you talking about Beyonce's the Cowboy Carter. I think it was a very mid album. And I think Renaissance, if it was Renaissance that, did all that winning, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, because there was a little bit of disconnect between, that album and Beyonce's core fans. A lot of people will say, oh yeah, maybe because you do not enjoy country music. And I'm like, the likes of Post Malone, made country music that we all, loved and enjoyed. So at the end of the day, there's a disconnect that's going on with the Grammys, you understand? Because when you look at the music that is making the waves and the music that's connecting to the fans, the music that being used for protests, the music that, just finds a way to just rally people. Like Shabuzi, for instance, Tipsy broke #1 Town record. You understand? So as huge as Old Town Road, by Lil Nas X was, Shabuzi's Tipsy broke the record. That he had as the longest running song on the Billboard, and he didn't win anything. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, though, I think a lot of artists are going to stop showing up. A lot of artists are going to stop using the Grammys as a criteria for what success should be measured by, in the music industry, because, like I said before, there's a disconnect between how, who is being awarded based on how much impact your song is actually making.
I mean, you have said this well, but I want to quickly give a shout out to, of course, all the nominees. Even the first timers category, it was beautiful to see, from Sabrina Carpenter to Doechii win. I know that she became the third Black woman to ever win for Best Rap. I mean, this is after
needs to do. The fact that a bunch of the categories are voting categories, meaning fans can vote. So that means it's not about the music anymore. It's now about who is more popular, or who can be able to put out the biggest, PR to be able to swing the award category. Then, there's the talk of the head is going to America, and the fact that even if it comes back home, there's still production issues. There's still, they start late. There's still disruptions in their broadcast, and this is something that's been going on for more than a decade. And also, all I would just say is that we need to be able to just put our house in order as regards, how we put things together, how we, how we produce these events, how the people perform, so we can be able to have a tight enough ship. The way we watch the Grammys, and we love watching the Grammys, the way, we see them present the awards, the way we see the performances. So all we just need to do is we should stop allowing the Nigerian factor, play a big part of the fact that we can't put together a 2-hour or a 3-hour broadcast of an event that, you have more than a year to actually just plan for. So pretty much, I think people just want to be able to see excellence, and the fact that the AMVCAs in Nigeria can be able to put together an award ceremony, and the AMVCAs has become like Africa's Oscars, and everybody's looking forward to the AMVCA. So, and they started way after the Headies. So I think the Headies has an opportunity to learn a thing or two from the guys that put together the AMVCA. So people can be able to watch in and out of Nigeria, and be proud of everything that we're doing, who we are awarding, how we are awarding them, and the quality of the show that we put together, pretty much.
Wow, it seems like there's a lot to be done, but again, I want to say, OC, thank you so much for your time. Programs Director, Beat 99.9. We appreciate you so much.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Let me quickly plug Afua on this. I mean, Afua, you're the bridge between what is African and what is on the international scene. I mean, you've seen what the Grammy looks like. and maybe you've seen the Headies as well. What would you like to say, you would like to see happen at the Headies or would make a difference in moving our own award process or, ceremony to the next level?
Look, I think it's all about realizing the value of the awards that you're given at home. I mean, I think getting a Grammy is great, and it's great on that international stage. But I actually think, when it comes to things like the Headies or even the Ghana Music Awards and things like that, we actually need to put so much more importance on them. I think getting that recognition from home, from your own people, is so important and so valuable. And I do agree with what OC said, that I think they'll get to a point where people are going to put less importance on Grammys and less importance, not use it as a yardstick or barometer of which you're measured by your musical success. And I think we need to put that more on the homegrown awards. And like he said as well, people have a whole year to plan for it. People can do it right, make it an award show that people look forward to and people anticipate in the same way that we do the Grammys or, we do the Brits here in the UK. It's absolutely possible, and I think the focus needs to be put on that.
I like that. I mean, once you start to speak possibilities, you get Sam Dandy. Afua Hagan, of course, our international correspondent here. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully next year we're both at the Grammys live, okay?
Yes, together. Let's plan that.
Thank you so much. Now let's bring it home. I mean, we're a huge part of the industry that is in Nigeria here. Anything else you want to add to, the growth that we're expecting from our industry? Let me start with you from the extreme end. Adero?
Okay, I'll just say that because most of what was said was true. What OC said about the organization, the process, and the credibility, transparency. I think that's one of the things that we Nigerian artists don't value anymore with our own award systems. They feel that it can be rigged. They feel that the situations happen where you can be a very popular artist, you might be selling out stadiums and stuff, but you will still not get the award. We've seen a couple of times where artists would not even show up for the awards because they feel that, hey, these guys are not even worthy enough to give me that award. So yeah, I think.
All right, time is going by quickly. I mean, when you're having fun, that's what happens. Real quick, let me start with you, Casey. What do you think?
For me, when it comes to award shows in Nigeria, I feel like it comes down to one thing, because you're always going to have the issue of, oh, this person should have won, oh, this person performed but didn't win, oh, this person had the biggest hits, oh, this person had the numerical value to go with it. But I feel like it still comes down to how we value it here, and I'm talking from two ends, from the artist and also from the consumers, right? I'm going to be honest. How long have you seen anybody brag about how many Headies this person has won? How often do you see somebody talk about the fact that, oh, this person has had the most Grammy awards? Now, this is coming from a listener point of view. Now, let's speak on the artist point of view. He mentioned the fact that people don't attend awards.
Show up.
It makes no sense. How many times are we going to have situations where I'm a representative of this person, I'm a representative of this person coming to take the award on behalf of this person?
Hopefully we don't get that this year, okay?
If you don't get that at the Grammys, that in itself tells a picture. I've seen several times in South African Music Awards where you have the artists actually show up. We don't show up, we don't perform at our own events. And we can't grow if that is the case. Now, some artists will argue that some of these things are not being planned very well. You can't expect me to give my time to something that isn't being planned very well. But at the same time, I feel like everything needs to be met in some type of halfway situation. So for me, if that doesn't happen, for me, the key word is intentionality. If that is absent, we'll still be...
All right, Aurelio Peters, you got to wrap it up real quick.
Okay, great. Award ceremonies should become institutions. And for institutions to happen, they need to be passed down. It's time for a new era. It's time for there's a new generation. It's time to hand it over.
Wow.
And get the perspective of that. Bring that new structure to these things.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it up right here in East Central Grammy Special, and I think I like how he wants to close this up. You know what? They've always said that we are the next generation. We're the leaders of tomorrow. Maybe it's high time that the Gen Zs, the younger ones, lead, and let's see if that could take our industry, entertainment as a whole, and all of our awards to the next stage. My name is Sam Dandy. Thank you so much for your time, and of course, we'll be back tomorrow. East Central will continue as always, 4:30 p.m. This is where we say bye-bye for now.